Everybody sing that shit.
Aguero, Higuain and Dybala. Do Argentina have the greatest set of World Cup strikers ever? It is a quartet that enters the World Cup with 124 club goals this season and a brilliant variance of abilities. Argentina have often been blessed in attack, but this year there is an argument their foursome is unrivaled against any previously assembled whatever the nationality. Spearheading the group is of course the little sorcerer whose powers for being the greatest ever show no indication of decline, despite him now entering his 30s. Lionel Messi got 45 goals in 54 games for Barcelona on the way to a 9th La Liga title and proved just as mesmeric as ever. For his country he also summoned a virtuoso display in October that may go down in legend should it ultimately lead to World Cup victory. A hat-trick against Ecuador came in a must-win final qualifier in the notoriously elevated altitude of Quito. Aptly it raised Messi's international contribution to a new plane. Without Messi, Argentina would not be in Russia, the victims of a rigorously fascinating South American campaign. But here they are, beginning against Iceland on Saturday, and as far as a supporting cast go we're talking 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri for standard of quality. Get the popcorn ready. 2 familiar faces are back in Sergio Aguero and Gonzalo Higuain, completing a trio of 30-year-olds who know this tournament will likely be a last chance for World Cup glory. Those stellar names have been there, got the t-shirt. 4 years ago only Mario Götze's extra-time goal deprived them something more. Now there is nothing like the slipping sands of time to resolve minds. Aguero arrives having emerged as Manchester City's all-time leading scorer and been a key figure in a record-breaking team. Ushered to the sidelines at first, he forced his way into Pep Guardiola's plans through remarkably high consistency and a recalibration of style. Higuain meanwhile has remained well among the goals at elite level for a 7th successive season, a title winner once again with Juventus. Extra backup for this edition though comes in shape of one of the most exciting players in Europe. Paulo Dybala scored 26 goals in 48 games for Juventus and showed against Tottenham the kind of surgical devastation he is able to inflict. His movement adds an extra element to Argentina's front line, which already boasted Messi's turbocharged bursts forward, Higuain's physicality, and Aguero's finishing. A first World Cup at 24 this may be, but Dybala is already an established forward of Champions League pedigree and has a fine understanding with Higuain. It seems Messi and Aguero will be partnered up front by manager Jorge Sampaoli, but possessing the Juve duo in storage is enviable indeed. The most awesome foursome at a World Cup? Impossible to quantify, of course, but here is a, far from exhaustive, list of others to rival. Perhaps not in possession of a clear 4 at peak powers, Italy certainly took an attacking group to Germany that featured big names and a depth of talent. Francesco Totti, 58 games, 9 goals. Alessandro Del Piero, 91 games, 27 goals. Filippo Inzaghi, 57 games, 25 goals. Luca Toni, 47 games, 16 goals. Providing the gilded experience were Francesco Totti, Alessandro Del Piero, and Filippo Inzaghi, aged 29, 31, and 32 respectively. In support were 3 lesser names emerging to prominence in Alberto Gilardino, Luca Toni, and Vincenzo Iaquinta. All 6 of them scored, so it is difficult to pinpoint a focal 4, but the fact they ultimately combined for unexpected glory means any configuration would be justified. The standout moments came from Totti's iron nerves to convert a penalty in the 5th minute of added time against Australia, and Del Piero's crowning goal in the semi-final win over Germany. Each member preeminent in his own right, the threeers combined to beautiful effect in South Korea and Japan. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho certainly represents one of the finest 3-pronged attacks in history, a mellifluous balance of poise and product, but for this exercise the additional presence of Denilson is important. Ronaldo, 98 games, 62 goals. Rivaldo, 74 games, 35 goals. Ronaldinho, 97 games, 33 goals. Denilson, 61 games, 8 goals. Nelson garnered the world record transfer fee in 1998 and remained a force 4 years later, but had to settle for 5 appearances off the bench as Brazil danced their way to victory. The three ahead of him scored 14 goals combined and were utterly scintillating in unison. At 25, Ronaldo returned from the misfortune of France to remind that for direct dribbling and lethal striking few can compare. Rivaldo, 30, may have struggled to locate the difference between thigh and face against Turkey but was imperious where and when it mattered to crown a fabulous career. Aged 22, Ronaldinho was only really embarking on his but underlined his quickness of thought consistently, the highlight being that audacious free kick against England which still probably leaves David Seaman waking up in a cold sweat. Holland burst into brilliant color in France through an organic shift in attacking parts that included Dennis Bergkamp at his absolute best, as well as Patrick Kluivert, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and Marc Overmars. Dennis Bergkamp, 79 games, 37 goals. Patrick Kluivert, 79 games, 40 goals. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, 23 games, 9 goals. Marc Overmars, 86 games, 17 goals. As a quartet it had pretty much everything: Bergkamp the guile, Kluivert the killer edge, Hasselbank the bullet shot, and Overmars the searing speed. Fresh from the double with Arsenal, Bergkamp and Overmars each scored a South Korea war thumped 5-0, even Pierre Van Hooijdonk got a goal. Overmars would often act as support striker rather than orthodox winger, with Hasselbank, who had scored 22 goals for Leeds that season, missing out after the first game. Bergkamp's goal against Argentina in the quarter-final was arguably the most memorable.